All right, welcome into Prize Picks on 5 here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me, Ethan J. Skolnick, in the 5 Reasons Sports. We got David Eversole. Follow him at David W. Eversole. We've got David Freeman. You can follow him at Talk About Sports. Make sure you use the code 5, F-I-V-E. That's how you get your initial deposit matched up to $100. Go to PrizePicks.com, the Google Play Store, or the Apple App Store. Download PrizePicks. Make sure you're using that code, F-I-V-E. All right, Thursday night football game tonight. It ain't the best. Bears and the Commanders, or whatever it is they're called these days. But the Bears, they got their offense going a little bit last week. So let's start with them. Justin Fields, I mean, he went from about 90 passing yards to about over 300 from 1 week to the next. And they kind of split the difference here. They got him at 103.5 yards. I'll just start and say I'm going to go over on that. I do feel like they'll be able to move the ball some in this game, and I do think that you're starting to see him get a little bit more comfortable. I don't know if he's the long-term answer, but I'm going to play him over on 193.5. Either of you guys play that one either way, or any of the other Fields props?
Yeah, I took him, and he's a long-term answer as long as they don't get the number one pick.
Right.
I went Justin Fields also, but 27.5 passing attempts, I went over. I mean, yards, I think we all like him, like we were saying, but they're going to have to score points. They're going to have to, keep up with them. I don't think they do, but he'll go over that by about 10, I think. So we'll see.
These are two. Yeah, I like Fields on completions. I like him on attempts, yards. I don't really like him on rushing, honestly. I think this is a game script where they're probably going to be behind in the second half. These are two pretty bad defenses. So I feel like both teams are going to be able to move the ball. And it's going to be a surprisingly entertaining game, I feel like, for a Thursday night slot fest that we're typically used to seeing. So, I mean, it's not really a marquee matchup per se, but I feel like there's some deceptive value in this game, and I actually like a lot of the plays tonight.
All right, so let's go to the running back situation on the Chicago side before we get to DJ Moore, who I think all of us like tonight. Anything else on the running back? Anything on the running back side that you guys would play? Or, again, I guess Fields rushing yards is something to look at there, too, at 48.5.
Even the
I took it under.
Yeah, even with him on it, like it just feels like the unknown at this point more than like I have a gut feeling, so I stay away.
Okay. So any of the Chicago backs. They got two. Chicago
Maybe
backs.
Herbert maybe on a combo play.
Okay.
Maybe rushing receiving yards for Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm just going
fairly reasonable, 66.5.
Yeah,
rushing receiving. I mean, he had a really good game against Denver, but who doesn't, obviously.
Right.
So kind of take that with a grain of salt. But
there are more bad teams this year than I can remember. I like bad
defenses. Like, I mean, I know it's an offensive-driven league now, but defense and you saw the tackling the other night too. I mean, it's just a lot.
It feels like there's less good teams too.
Yes. That's what it is. We're just seeing these matchups, and there's like 7 games every weekend I have no interest in. And
they're very top-heavy.
Yeah, that was not the case before. So I don't. It's kind of a weird deal. I really thought the AFC would be very strong this year, and honestly, some of those teams haven't panned out either. On the receiver side, though, I think we all like DJ Moore tonight, right? Like that, he's clearly Fields' number one target. And they did unlock him a little bit last week. I have him in my regular fantasy team. I'm going to play him tonight too. 53.5 receiving yards. I like that one. He crushed that last week, obviously.
I took him on receptions.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like unless Fields is absolutely awful, Moore goes over, right? Like, is that kind of?
It could be awful, and it's still, what I mean? That's the thing. They're going to have to score points.
Yeah, I would think. Eversole, you like any of the Chicago? I mean, it really is DJ Moore we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I went over 20.5 receiving yards in his first 2 receptions.
Okay.
It's kind of been an interesting play. He averages like 15, 16 yards a reception. So I feel pretty good about that. And on the receiver side, really for the Bears, there could be like Komet breakout. He's getting a lot of targets. So I know Freeman and I talked about him before we went on the air about him. And the number for Mooney is real friendly too at 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so real quick, because it's funny, Dave mentioned like the whole thing with the sneakies in terms of like the entertainment of the game. So I noticed his card was basically like all Washington. I almost called it.
Yeah.
Mine was almost all Bears, and that kind of tells you like it's not as obvious as it seems maybe.
Yeah.
I do have DJ Moore receptions, Mooney receptions, Komet reception targets. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I just think you're going to see a lot of stuff.
I think the Bears give you more variety in terms of maybe who might, go over those numbers, and their projections are lower. But, Terry Scary at 5, I took that. I think his target share is going to go up.
Mhm.
And, with players that catch the ball, or have over 20 targets this year, he's third in catch percentage. He catches 81% of his targets.
Okay.
So he's one of those guys, like, if you throw the ball, basically he's going to catch it. So
Right.
I feel like he's going to get 7, 8, 9 targets in this game.
I did see
So
his
I
targets.
love taking the ball and over and over.
If you look at the targets, it's funny you said that, because when I was looking at the targets for Komet, like McLaurin, you see it's like he'll have like 6 receptions, whatever. It's like 7 targets. So it's sneaky.
Yeah, look at his target numbers.
Like one,
I mean, the targets he's only gone over 1 out of 5 times.
So I was iffy about that part there.
It's more game script for me, I think, in this game too.
Yeah.
I like the receptions more than the targets for him. Would any of you guys take either Howell or Robinson?
Yeah, I took Howell. I took him over passing yards at 241.5.
Okay.
I took McLaurin too with the receptions, but I felt like that was like a safe. It's at 5, so I felt like I could push and be okay.
Yeah, I like I can't pronounce his name, but I like the Washington kicker too, because I just think they're going to be in Chicago's territory all the time. So 1.5 field goals is their standard there. So I'm going to go with that one. I didn't really touch the Howell thing. I would go over on Terry's receptions. I think 5 is safe. I think worst case scenario you're pushing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would play. I think both McLaurin and DJ Moore, to me, that's my play tonight. I like both receivers. Fields is so inconsistent that even though I would play him, I don't know. He's either absolutely incredibly dynamic like he was against the Dolphins last year, or he's not putting up 100 yards. And it's very doesn't seem like they have a consistent plan there. All right, before we go, again, we're mentioning the code 5 FIVE. Get that initial deposit match. Anything else that you guys like tonight? One more before we go.
I just think that we're setting ourselves up for like a 7-3 game tonight.
Right, that's probably what'll happen. Right.
No, that seems reasonable.
You're welcome, everybody.
No, both defenses suck, so there should be scoring both ways. Anyway, use the code 5 FIVE. Get that initial deposit match. We'll be here Sunday prior to Dolphins Giants at the stadium. We'll get into that one, and the rest. This is more of a betting prop, but Daniel Jones as a road underdog is really good, so I'm a little concerned about that for the Dolphins' sake, even though the Giants are absolutely awful. Anyway, use the code 5 FIVE. Get that initial deposit match up to $100. Thanks, Dave and Dave.